Andrea Klim, and you are watching Turn to the Stars. And this week on Turn to the Stars, I'm going to be discussing the new moon in Virgo that is coming up on August 25th, which is almost a week away, and also the age of Aquarius. And I want to say thank you to everyone who watches Turn to the Stars during this incredible time of transition and big changes that we're all experiencing as a whole here on Earth. This new moon occurs exactly on Monday, August 25th, 2014 at 8:33 a.m. Eastern Daytime here in Manchester, New Hampshire, with the sun and the moon right beside each other in the constellation of Virgo at 2 degrees. Whenever I think about the energy of Virgo, I think about the Earth. And I think about the methods and the processes that we as human beings go through here on Earth. Virgo is a very, very adaptable sign. It is a sign of the worker, of the person who seeks purity and perfection and good health and well-being. And they work very hard to serve others to the best of their ability. And I have a chart of that new moon, which is the new moon chart right there. And that new moon, you can see, is shaded in green up in the top left-hand corner. And you can see the symbols for the sun and the moon. And you can see that they're at 2 degrees. And the symbol for Virgo is highlighted as well. And this new moon or new theme of development, which is going to be already in motion, will feel the beginnings of it as it creeps into our lives, as it begins to show up in our day-to-day experiences. It creates a new theme of development and of experience. And there is really a sense of that there's this pure form of protection that is abound and around us, and that no matter what the crisis you may be in, you can feel sure that help will come. With this new moon in Virgo in the area of the universal chart, where it is in this particular area, it adds the component of togetherness. And if I can put that chart back on the screen again, you can see that that new moon is in the top left quadrant of that chart, which is in our astrology language the 11th house, which is actually the house of Aquarius, which means that friends and community come together in a time of need to help, and any obstacles that we're experiencing in relating to each other can be overcome by negotiating and mediating out the details. And you can see that due to the aspect, which is a semi-square to the north node, which is indicative of what I just explained. It also shows us that opportunities will be present to nurture and to come to care for each other along this new moon journey from August 25th through September 24th. This is a theme that will grow in each of our lives, whatever this theme is, in our work, in our friendships, in our community, whatever theme grows as far as us achieving our goals and our objectives between August 25th and September 24th. This is a month where we find ourselves finishing up things that we had began to experience in the way of change back in May. This is the month where we finish up those tasks that we had in our lives. It is the time where we begin to prepare for some new change to come, which is going to show up around the new moon at the end of September. So this month we're getting back to, we're getting back to work, we're getting back to school, we're applying ourselves to the fine work of our health and the little things that matter so much to the whole of achievement. So this new moon in Virgo is in opposition to Neptune in Pisces. And it is through the eyes of suffering and the reality that comes because of this path of confusion that we've experienced, that there comes this realization of what can be done to resolve and to really understand the sensitive nature of our deep, each of us have a deep sensitivity or need to understand the reality of the life or the world that we live in. But when there's things that are difficult, that cause suffering in our lives, there's often a tendency to want to escape. And we see that in our world, and the people that we know or that we meet, that, tend to take the path of alcoholism or drugs, or they're in denial of what is real because of their sensitive nature. And we see that awareness on this new moon through that opposition between the new moon and Neptune, our surrounding planets. So what it indicates is that there's a universal exchange which is of mutual understanding that is happening. There's also this mutual exchange of opposition. It can be a mutual exchange of understanding, compassion, kindness, or it can be a mutual exchange of opposition, judgment, confusion, deception, and finger pointing. So it's a choice. And this morning, in preparation for today's show, I read an article on the web that stated that this new moon would show us the seers that are in the world. When I say seers, by this I mean people who've developed their sensitivity through a period of suffering, caring, and maybe even a broken heart. And this article said that people come together through a need for a helping hand, a need to heal, to share their story, and sometimes just to be heard. But what I thought is that this new moon really reminds us that we are as perfect as we can be. Sometimes even though you do all that you can, you may feel that it's just not enough. And Virgo is that one type of energy. I'm reminded by this every day. My husband is a Virgo, and he really exhibits all the qualities, all the wonderful attributes of the Virgo. And, it seeks perfection. It seeks to serve. It seeks to do the best it can for the people in its life. And so this new moon on August 25th, the connection between this new moon in Virgo and Neptune in Pisces sort of brings us to a crossroad where we can choose to have compassion, be kind, be understanding. It brings and raises the awareness of the suffering that surrounds us, and that we should do what we can about what we can. Very, very important when you have opposition to this degree, especially with Neptune involved. It also brings an awareness of boundaries to every one of us. And by that I mean healthy boundaries. What are healthy boundaries? It isn't necessary for any one of us to do all the work. We can do this together if we can just resolve our differences. That is a huge awareness that is coming through this opposition with this new moon to Neptune. And I have a picture which I want to show you, which is of our pet Jack Russell bunny and our little pet Piggy. And my husband has a special way of getting any animals to see eye to eye, as you can see. And this is Bunny and Piggy. And I just thought I'd share this picture with you to show you that it's possible. And it's interesting because I'm going to come back here a little bit. The article I read this morning said that the people who are caring for others who are suffering are good at, also they have this realization how to medicate them and become the opiate for their patients. Their friends, their lovers, their children, their parents, their neighbors, and their strays. They're the ones that give us that helping hand, or give those who are in need that helping hand of understanding and compassion. it is said that as a result of over 2,000 years of bloodshed and suffering, the age of Pisces, the human race has learned to open its heart chakra. And as I said earlier, we realize we are all one, yet very unique individuals as well in this process. 2,000 years is a long, long time, and the age of Pisces has showed us the depth of who we are. It has seen us suffering as a race, but it has also seen us overcoming. It has also helped to deepen our understanding of each other. And so this new moon in Virgo has what I would call a very Mercurian flavor of healing that comes through a step-by-step process of really self-medicating in whatever form that takes, because it isn't always through drugs or alcohol, but escapism from accepting reality. There's this process that we go through, and we accept things as we can. And a lot of times we see this type of reaction by humans that helps to take the edge off of trauma or difficulties, so that bit by bit, they're able to accept the reality of those difficult experiences and memories that have surfaced, which have come over years and years of, age of Pisces is said to be the age of oppression, and learning how to flip-flop in order to survive, so to speak. Anyone alive who was born with the opposing force in their chart between the planets of planets that are placed in the constellation of Pisces or in the constellation of Virgo know this all too well, because they can see both sides of this coin. They've had experiences themselves, but they've also had these experiences that came from other people, and they've had to figure out how to somehow understand the differences, figure out what healthy boundaries are. So we can only heal what we're able to understand, what we're able to see, what we're able to accept. And I have a picture here, which is of a rainbow. Ooh, and it's sideways. Well, that's not the best, but that was actually a double rainbow that was over our house in Derry. I apologize. I thought I had that the right way, but you can really see the rainbow this way anyway. So anyway, the new moon that is coming on August 25th, there we go. This new moon on August 25th does deliver us to the realization, or to the knowledge of the unknown, the unseen, the invisible. It may come in the form of dreams, in the form of visions, through experiences that we have in our life that come through suffering, through difficult emotional experiences. Whatever form it takes, whatever your experiences are, truly are the divine creator's way of reaching you in whatever way it can. So it's through the process of daily living, which is very much Virgo energy. Daily living, the processes that we go through, the breakdown, the analyzation of, and figuring out where everything fits, that you realize the importance of coming together, of being together, of working together, of being able to accept criticism or judgment, and to be able to discern the difference between judgment and discernment. Because there is a fine line there, especially with the level of sensitivity that we are all beginning to feel in our lives daily. So I actually have a picture of the next picture I'm going to show you is the Mars, Saturn, Scorpio square Venus, which is Mars and Saturn are on the bottom left side of the chart, and I highlighted them in red for a reason, because I really wanted you to see what this is representative of, because this new moon, as I said before, holds a theme of new beginnings, and whatever picture it paints is very, very, very important to us in our lives. And so Mars, the planet of movement, anger, activity, right beside Saturn in Scorpio. And it's forming a square, which is typically a difficult aspect to Venus. And this is actually a very strong square to Venus in Leo, and it is very much indicative of the battle between the sexes. Venus is the feminine, but it is in a masculine sign, which is Leo, of expression. And we have Mars in Scorpio, which is, Mars is actually a masculine sign. It rules muscle. And being in the sign of Scorpio, it has us all being quite active in uncovering the secret and hidden realms. And Saturn basically says, let's take some responsibility for the reality of the intensity of these old patterns that we have repeated over and over and over and over again. And typically this is indicative of old patterns of war between the nobles and the warriors and the protectors of the Holy Grail. That is the secrets of creation. So this is actually, even though it is a challenging pattern, it is a very strong pattern which reminds us all and helps us to all see the difficulties we've experienced by continuing to stay on the same path. And now I actually have another picture what I want to show you, which is the same new moon chart, but what I've highlighted in this picture on this chart is Mars and Saturn as they are in the constellation of Scorpio, and a trining aspect to Chiron, the wounded healer. And what this is indicative of is doors of energy that the planets are opening by Mars and Saturn in Scorpio, trining Chiron in Pisces, for the feminine, or the revelations of ways we can resolve our insecurity, our fears, our resentments, and our guilt. So this is really a gifting energy. It is bringing a great sense of harmony and relief to us if we could just identify that through many of these difficult experiences from our past, that there are many wonderful keys to healing. There are many wonderful things that we can really identify with that really are helpful. So I want to show you another chart too, and this is actually the same chart. All of this is all happening on this new moon in Virgo. This is actually showing us a yod, which is a finger of God, which is highlighted. The foot of this yod is highlighted by over to the right side of your screen. You can see Uranus in the constellation of Aries, right beside the south node in Aries. And if you see the gray line, that sort of imagine it like an arm stretching down to the left to Mars and Saturn in Scorpio, and another arm reaching from that foot where Uranus in Aries and the south node is in Aries, another arm, a right arm, reaching out to Mercury in Virgo. And what this is indicative of is changes, awakening to who we are, ourselves, our past, to the animalistic natures that we each have, and the inner conflicts with realizations of where relief comes from. So there's, through this identification, through discussion of the hidden realms, the underlying values that we each have that must be adjusted as we awaken to a direction that brings to us ultimately peace. And this yod is, again, it's a finger of God. It indicates that there are adjustments that need to be made along the way, that we're all awakening to who we are as a person. We're awakening, we're reaching out, and we're being like a detective, looking at other people's actions. And are they holding up their end, their responsibilities? You know what? And there's this opportunity to talk things out, to discuss things in detail. And so this leads me to talk about, and we're all set with that chart, the age of Aquarius, which we have birthed. And I have a picture that I want to show you right now of Earth. And we see Earth right here at the center. And this is actually our precessional process of evolvement. Earth is at the center, and you can see the celestial equator, and you see where it passes right through, right on the cusp of Pisces and Aquarius. And we know that all the ages, if you add them all up together, equal 26,000 years. Each age is about 2,000 years. And we are truly on the cusp and entering into the age of Aquarius. So what does that mean? What does this mean to you? We here on Earth resolve like all the other planets around us. We revolve around the sun, and it isn't us that is at the center of our galaxy, it's the sun, the light that sustains us all. And in a divine order, we are experiencing, as our galaxy is, as our universe is, a coming together, a realization of where we've been. It's a sort of sorting out the past as we enter into a completely new realm of life. The age of Aquarius is showing us already that it will be the age of ingenuity. Perhaps some very crazy and unexpected experiences which lead us to discovery of new ways which are so much different than what we've experienced in the past. It's the age of science, the age of meetings, the age of tribunal councils, new forms of energy for creating electricity, robotics, discovery of our unique differences, invention, alien life forms. And just last week, I saw a show on NASA's show, which was on Dairy Community TV, that gave a plan for putting a rover on Mars to explore the possibility of creating a human civilization there. That is just so interesting. The age of Aquarius is already showing us that it will unveil to us how to develop our intuitive faculties. Really listen to that inner compass, that inner guide. So how to accept the guidance of our inner compass, that is, just like in that movie Avatar, I don't know if you've seen it, but that movie really was a great depiction of how very connected we are as one. That we're all connected to an inner guiding light that nurtures us, guides us, feeds us. And ideally, it isn't just our Earth, but the whole universe that is around us that is proven, this whole universe that we live in, it's proven that the universe's DNA, the picture that you see out there around us, is the same as the picture that you see inside of you, your DNA, your makeup. So I actually have that picture I want to put on the screen. And there it is. Our solar system, its DNA, the picture that it paints, we see that on the left. That is the picture of the universe, and the picture that is inside of us, our human DNA, they form exactly the same picture. So the universe that's outside of us is same as the universe that is seen within us. So this new moon that is occurring August 25th reminds us of a very classical era, such as the Greek and the Roman era. There was the development of all forms of different belief systems that occurred. Pantheism, Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, and how these belief systems, these practices served a purpose. So this new moon, which is really highlighting the age of Aquarius, holds a knowing that it will show us all over the next 2,000 and some years how we can manage, how we can work with this new age, this new time that's coming our way. And I have another picture I want to show you. This picture actually was taken up in North Conway when we were on vacation, and my daughter and I were having some fun writing astrology symbols in the sand. And it's hard to see because it's kind of shadowed, but we've circled, there's a cardinal cross which shows the connection of our activities and the bridges that we're crossing in human life, of relationships, of self-awareness, of the understanding of how to nurture each other and care for each other, and also the differences of power and control that are being exhibited in life. And at the bottom of this we wrote, "You are a star." And you can see that in the sand. That was written in the sand in North Conway at Echo Lake Beach. And it was our way of saying to the universe, and to everyone that walked there, that I wanted to let everybody know that we are a spark of light. Each of us is a spark of light. We carry a very important role. Each and every one of us has a very important role in life and living. And each and every one of us needs to tell each other that, you matter through our actions. We need to take the actions that are toward peace, not toward destruction. It's interesting because all the, July, August, September, the full moons, every one of the full moons that we're seeing, like August 10th, back in July, the full moon was in Capricorn. In August, the full moon was in Aquarius. In September, the full moon will be in Pisces. This is categorically, methodically, step by step. That full moon is showing us a full light of awareness. They're called super full moons because they're so close to the earth. And what they're doing is they're lining us up for this next eclipsed full moon that's going to occur on October 8th. And so if you kind of trace back and you think about where we're going, the awarenesses that you have come to discover over the course of the summer, this month, September, coming up, the theme is reflection. The theme is to slow down enough to listen and hear the world around you, to enjoy the bliss and the beauty of all that we experience in our lives, but also to be present and to be realistic about who we are, where we're going, and the step-by-step process and what our responsibilities are on a day-to-day basis. How can I do better? How can I hear better? How can I understand better who I am, who my friends are, who my neighbors are, who my community is? And it truly does bring up all the things that I've discussed on today's show and so much more. So wherever that new moon is occurring in your chart, in your life, wherever you're looking for perfection, wherever you're saying, how can I be of more service? How can I help someone to understand themselves better? So all you can do is offer it, do what you can about what you can. And that is one of my famous sayings, do what you can about what you can. And the rest, just let it be as it is, because you can only do what others will accept. So I want to say thanks for watching Turn to the Stars. As always, I appreciate your support. I appreciate your continued viewing, and remind you to turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. And take good care. I'll see you next week.